Hey, motivation. Let's talk about it. Motivation is something that can easily come and go depending on just how you feel, the weather, all kinds of different things, how you're riding, just so many different things make up motivation. Today, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that super motivated. I have to do 3.5 hours with some sweet spot work, but the problem is, dude, it's wicked cold. It's like 37 degrees out, and it's windy, so the wind chill makes it feel like 34. And I'm from California, so I'm kind of a softie. I'm not used to it. I'm getting used to it, but still, it's just one of those days. It's the end of the week, last day of training. I've been riding solo all week. Today was supposed to be a group ride. A lot of people ended up canceling because it's cold out. So because of that, I'm gonna be stuck riding by myself. Now I could go inside and I could Zwift, but 3.5 hours on the trainer doesn't sound fun. So I'm just like, what's better? 3.5 hours outside in the freezing cold or 3.5 hours on the trainer? Not really sure. But this is something that all professionals go through with motivation. Just because we're being paid to ride our bikes doesn't mean that we always want to jump out and ride your bike. Sometimes it's like, you just gotta go get it done. And even though the conditions aren't the best, you gotta find the motivation to get out there and get it done. So I know when I finish this ride, I'm gonna be super pumped, I'm gonna be jacked, motivation's gonna be super high, but as of right now, I'm not that motivated. But let's go. All right, today, I'm so glad I picked today to talk about motivation because, dude, I'm on the struggle bus, motivation-wise. I had two by 25 minute sweet spots. The first one I had to do some accelerations during it, and then the second one was just straight up sweet spot. I'll be honest, I nailed my numbers, I nailed my targets, but I wanted to quit the entire time. Like I was 5 minutes in on the first one, I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. And then as I was getting to the top of the hill, about ready to end the first one, I was like, man, I'm only 20 minutes from home. It's so cold today. I don't want to do this. I'll just go home. But I turned around and went down the descent, stuck it out, did the second one. I think I was 7 minutes in. I was like, dude, I'm toast. This is stupid. I don't want to do this. But I was holding good power still. I just finished it and I'm like, okay, who cares? The rest of your day is just slow, low endurance. Just get it done. Go home, hot shower, hot meal. Oh, this is a struggle today. But I mean, trying to come over those mental things is huge. So I'm gonna finish this ride out because mentally I'm not stoked about it. But when I get home, sit down and use some keys on how to keep that motivation going. Dude, that was a freezing cold ride. By the time I finished, the sun was starting to go down, and I think the temperature outside was around 32 degrees, but the wind chill factor said it felt like 24 degrees. It was just, so miserable. That is probably one of the coldest days that I've ridden in, other than descending out of the mountains in California when it's foggy and wet and cold. But just 3 hours of that was super cold. Wind chill made it feel far worse than it was. I was relatively fine. My face was cold, and then my toes were pretty frozen. My hands were getting a little bit cold, but with the intervals and stuff, the gloves started to heat up quite a bit. Let's talk about motivation. You know, I think I have some good ideas that might be able to help you. I know for me, these are some things that I do in order to try and stay motivated, because let's be honest, in the off season, there is no racing. It's group rides are hit and miss just because a lot of people, you know, struggle to get out in the elements, especially where I live. It's a lot of people don't get out as much. The other thing with off season is, you know, the days are short. It can be kind of depressing. It's cold, just all kinds of different things. So with that, let's talk about some things that I think will help you stay motivated, because these are things that I do for me personally. So one thing that I do for motivation is goals. Goals are huge. Those are by far one of the biggest things that I really try to think about before I start my off season. And then from there, I will just continuously keep those at the forefront of my mind and just remind myself what those goals are. Because goals will keep you motivated. If you have something that you want to accomplish, then you're going to be motivated. See, if I was here in the winter and I had nothing to look forward to in the 2022 year, I wouldn't be out there right now doing the ride that I just did. But because I have goals, it motivates me, and I want to succeed in those goals and accomplish them. So therefore, I was able to get out on my bike and get it done. Even though mentally I was like out of it. Dude, I'm on the struggle bus, motivation-wise. And I didn't want to do it. Motivation-wise, I still got out there and got it done. So let's talk through some possible goals that you can make. So one goal that you can make is think about racing, okay? For me, I race a lot. So for me, I have goals in racing. One of them is I'm going to be doing pro nationals, right? I want to be at the best I can be for pro nationals. So when I start, I make a list and I write that down as one of my top goals. Be the best I can be at pro nationals. The second goal is we will be racing a little bit in Europe. And from what I hear, Europe is a totally different game than cycling here in America. And it's not just that they're just that much better, but the races are definitely harder. I was talking to Tim Cusick about it, and he mentioned here in America, it's hard, and then it's slow, and then it's hard again, and then it's slow, and then it might be really hard, and then the race is over. He said when you go to Europe, it's hard, it's harder, and then it's hard, and then it's over. So I think about racing too. And for Europe, I want to be as best as I can be. So that's something else I write down on the list. I have pro nationals and then I have European racing. Those are two things that I really think of. So when I get out there or I have to go ride 3.5 hours in the freezing cold, first thing in my mind is you want to be the best you can be when you arrive at those races. And in order to be the best that you can be when you arrive at those races, you got to put the work in now. Because endurance sports take patience. You don't get results overnight. It takes time. It takes lots and lots of hours. It takes lots of consistent work on the bike. Everything you do now today pays off 3 months down the road. Think of it like a song. Every workout is a note in that song. And by the time you show up on race day to pro nationals or that European race, you want to take all those previous notes and string them together and make one beautiful symphony of music. And that's what I'm doing right here. And that's what I think motivationally, that's what I'm doing. Something else I do for motivation is I think about my competition. So in other words, I was supposed to go do a group ride this weekend, right? I was supposed to do that. And what happened was today, I was actually getting ready to get up. I wasn't super motivated. I was tired, but I was like, I'm going to go out, do the group ride. They'll help me get through it, have people suffering with me, right? We're all in this together. But one by one, I was getting on my phone. I'm not going to make it today. It's super cold today. You're not showing up today. And I was like, oh my gosh, dang it. The group ride's not going to be happening, right? So now what do? Well, what I do is I think about, okay, all of my competition, they're running into days like this too. There's guys out there who are going, man, it is super cold today. I don't want to get on my bike, and they might skip. Or they might ride indoors and ride a little bit shorter and skip. For me, I think about that and I go, okay, if they're possibly not riding their bikes today, I'm for sure going to ride my bike. So that's something else I used for motivation, is I tell myself, there's someone out there who I will be racing against who's in the same position right now, and quite possibly they're actually taking the day off, but I am going to say no to that, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get the work done. That's what I did. So that's something else that I use for motivation. Let's talk about one more thing that you can do for motivation. I think the last thing you do for motivation is think about where you've been and where you are now and where you're going to be in the future. So if you think about it, a few weeks ago, I was not at the fitness level that I'm at now. And it took 2 to 3 weeks to get at the fitness level to where I am now. Like, that takes time. Like, I put in some serious volume. I went to Hawaii for 2 weeks, and I put in 20 hours the first week, and I put in 16 hours the second week because I was only there for about a week and a half, like riding wise. I was there for 2 weeks, but 4 of those days were kind of travel days. So I was gone for 2 weeks. But I got in 20 hours during week 1 and I got in 16 hours during week 2. I took no rest days while I was there. I got the work done. Came home, got a slight cold, did a rest week, jumped back on it the beginning of this week, and I did an 18-hour week. Today finished with an 18-hour week. And when I think about it, where I was 3 weeks ago compared to today, I'm so much stronger. It's not that my threshold went crazy through the roof or anything like that, but how I'm stronger is endurance-wise, I've improved. All right, that's huge. And that takes one of the longest times to improve, like just improving that aerobic base and endurance base. When I was in Hawaii, my resting heart rate was constantly 45 to 47 beats per minute. Now this week, knocking out this week, feeling amazing. My resting heart rate is currently around about 41 to 43 beats per minute. Like, that's a huge change, a huge shift. So obviously there's been some huge gains made. Now by me skipping today, I'm potentially going to be robbing myself of some of those gains. And that's something I don't want to do, right? Because I worked so hard to get where I am. And if I skip today, I'm going to start slowly throwing it away. So think about that as motivation. Think about whatever you did yesterday or a couple weeks before, that laid a foundation. And now today, if you're fighting the motivation, you're like, man, I really don't want to go ride. But think about it. If you miss today, how is that going to affect the future, right? So if you miss today, all that hard work you did, you're now just letting it slowly fall away. And you're just wasting it. So think about that too as motivation. That's something I think about. So let's recap some motivational things. And then on top of that, you can think of your own motivational things too as well. So first thing is, think about your race. If you're a racer, think about that race. Like, you're motivated to do well at that race, and the hard work you put in now will pay off when you get there. The second thing is just think about all those who are taking the day off when you could be taking the day off, right? Your competition is taking the day off, but you aren't. That should motivate you to get out there. You're going to be better than them because you are not skipping today. And the third thing is just reminding yourself of all the hard work you've done. Don't throw it away now. Be motivated, get through it, and keep moving forward. Not every day is going to be unicorns and rainbows, all right? Some days it's going to be hard. Today was freezing cold. I did not enjoy it. I was 10 minutes into the first interval. I was hitting my numbers. I was on target, but mentally I was like, man, this sucks. I'm 20 minutes from home. I just want to go home. I got it done, turned around, started the second interval, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Even though I'm hitting my numbers, I'm in a stride, it's just motivationally, I was just not wanting to get it done.
No, don't like that.
But I got it done. And after that, I was like, man, it doesn't matter how slow I ride after this. Just get the time in and then get home and you will be fine. That's what I did. It was a struggle, but I overcame it. And actually thinking about that now motivates me to know that if there's harder things down the road, I can overcome those things as well. So these are just a couple motivational things. What I want to talk about is I want to talk about power goals. I think power goals are cool, but they're also really tough to achieve. And sometimes by not hitting them, you lose motivation. Okay. And what I mean by this is not everyone's going to get that 5 watt per kilo threshold. You know, some people have it, some people don't. Some people it doesn't take that much work and they get there. Some people it takes an incredible amount of work and they barely get a taste of it and then they got to back off because they can't put in those kind of hours. There's so many different factors at play to what you can accomplish. If you're looking to hit like this personal PR in your 5-minute power or something like that, and it's some ridiculous number where you're like 50 watts away from that right now, sure, you might be able to actually hit it. But what if you don't? Is that going to crush you motivationally? Think about that stuff. So for me, I don't like to set those as motivational goals. I don't like to go, man, if I get out today, I might get my ride in, I'm going to be rocking that 6 watt per kilo, 20-minute power. Like, no, that's not how it works, right? You do specific workouts in order to get better, but you shouldn't use power goals as motivation. Things you can use as motivation, though, would be like centuries, or possibly just maybe you're going to go out and you knock out 100K or 60 miles, or maybe there's a big group ride coming up, and you realize if you don't go out today and get in that foundation of that endurance, you're not going to be able to complete that long group ride. That's a good motivational goal. Think about those things, right? Those are all great motivational goals. So now let's wrap this video up. So these are all things that I do for motivation, and motivation can be tough. So what I want to encourage you is sit down and maybe jot down 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 goals and remind yourself daily of those. Especially when you're starting to lack motivation, take that list out, look at it, and start to think about those goals and how those can continue to push you forward. Because again, we all want to accomplish our goals. And that's something I constantly do is I put down goals and then I accomplish them. I hope this really helps you with just overall motivation, right? These are things I talk to my athletes all the time that I coach. Again, if you're interested in coaching, hit me up. I'd love to coach you. But I do talk to a lot of my athletes about these different things. We'll sit down, we'll set goals, we'll do all kinds of different things like that. So there you have it. That's another kind of insight into the life of a pro cyclist. These are things that I struggle with from time to time. It's not, I mean, there's quite a few days where I'm super stoked, I'm excited about training, but sometimes there's days where motivation is just lacking. And today was one of those days, but I got out there and I got it done, and that's what's gonna make me better and stronger down the road. So I encourage you, when you hit those walls, when you hit those fences, where you feel like you can't get over those hurdles, think about those goals, put them in place, get motivated, just get out there and get the work done. And when you finish, it's gonna be so rewarding. Like when I finished my ride today, no matter how cold I was just pumped that I got it done. I looked back and I accomplished all the goals for the week from my coach, and I accomplished today. Like all of that is also a huge motivational boost. So even though I started the day and my motivation was maybe here, I finished the day and my motivation bumped up to here. So that's all good signs. Now, some other things I'm gonna talk about coming up in my next Life of a Pro Cyclist is I'm gonna talk about recovery. I'm gonna talk about how my body has really been able to handle the volume, and I wanna talk a little bit about the volume that I'm doing, but that's on the next one. You're gonna have to subscribe to make sure you don't miss that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this Life of a Pro Cyclist. Keep training and riding hard. I'll see you guys on the next video.